LL Nation, what's good? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Welcome into the Lucky Lefty podcast. I am your guy, Shaun Davis, SD2 Mics, Instagram and Twitter. That dude, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire, at Overtime Malik and at Malik Zaire 8 on Twitter. We're brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, the perfect way and the perfect nightcap for a Notre Dame win. You need to grab you some for the fall. You might
That's
as
right.
well do it. The head coach of Notre Dame does it, so you
That's
might
right.
as well do it too. How was your weekend, bro?
It was great, man. It's just some hanging out. I had some family over and stuff, so it was a good time.
Yo,
Uh,
always good to have family over.
Absolutely, and it's hot. It's been getting pretty hot out here, so just trying to stay cool, stay in the AC. It's the summer, but football camp's coming, so gotta get ready for that too.
You know what I laughed at this weekend? Because what we're going to talk about, of course, is the commitment of Jaden Greathouse and
Yes, sir.
the importance to this class. We're going to talk about Georgia losing a pretty important recruit, a legacy, and how
Yeah.
that impacts Notre Dame. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about some surprise quarterbacks to watch. Like we know the main culprits in the top quarterbacks, but we're going to talk about some of the surprises. Last year, I think someone like Brennan Armstrong kind of
Mm.
caught people by surprise. And by the middle of the season, it was like, okay, this dude is the real deal. So we'll talk about some of the surprise quarterbacks and get into some other stuff. I might have to put your boy LeBron back on the petty train, bro.
Look, he's been making a run, a strong campaign to be on there for a good while.
He is. I don't know, man.
I don't know why he does it. I can't tell you.
The whole. I wish this was tennis. I wish basketball was more like tennis. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
You talking about LeBron? You not dunking and looking in the crowd for people to be quiet. Come on, man. He just the biggest grifter on the planet for no reason.
Yo, him
For
and
no
DeMar,
reason.
he joined DeMar DeRozan at the Drew League this weekend. And what did he drop? 42-16.
If it wasn't for, if it wasn't for, if it wasn't for the like the fans and stuff,
Mm,
LeBron wouldn't even have done Drew League. He didn't do Drew League because it's just good basketball run. They went against no NBA players. He went because of the fans.
facts.
So
Facts.
his tennis comments just be stuff like that. He could have just said there should be, better, I don't know, policing of it or whatever, but he take it to the
I think he realizes, and maybe some people in LL Nation could,
uh
relate to this. He feels stuck. And at this point in his career, this is not what he visualized. Like he's stuck. The Lakers are stuck. He's stuck. Steph won a championship. He's starting to hear Steph being named as ridiculously by Bobby Marks, being named as the second best player of all time. Some people are calling Steph the best player in this era. I mean, it's just a lot going on that's probably irritating LeBron. And he's stuck. There's really no moves to be made. Jeannie Buss is not going to give him control over the roster anymore. She's keeping her draft picks in her back pocket because she knows every other team that LeBron has left has zero draft capital after he left because they bought him out trying to appease him. She's not doing that. So, he's out in LA for business, but LeBron doesn't want to go to another team, man. He doesn't.
he just hoped that Russell would have worked out, man. Should have brought DeMar. And DeMar would have cost less.
Well, you know, one man's trash is another man's gold, and the Chicago Bulls fans, we appreciate you, LeBron. We appreciate you so very much. We thank you. We
Really?
thank you for your generosity in giving DeMar DeRozan right to us. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Now, here's the kicker. On behalf of Chicago fans, we would be willing to give DeMar DeRozan back to you for Anthony Davis. We'll send DeMar home. We'll send DeMar home, and you can send AD back home. That's all. It's real simple. We'll send DeMar home. You send AD back home. We'll even throw in Lonzo. We'll give you 2 LA boys. Because Lonzo can't stay healthy anyway. So you can have him.
Listen to me. That's not even a fair trade. If Rudy Gobert
Who said anything about fair? Who said anything about fair?
How about this? Y'all give us DeMar. We give y'all Russell, right?
Say that again.
We give y'all Russell.
No, right? We have Ayo Dosunmu. We don't need Russell Westbrook. We're good.
Whoa.
We're good.
Ayo over Russell Westbrook. The front office wouldn't agree with that.
Oh, the Bulls front office would. Oh, absolutely. Oh, they absolutely would right now. Absolutely. But you can continue because this trade isn't going through. But you can continue with your proposed trade.
They should go give us DeMar. We give you guys Russ. But then we also get
what?
Lonzo. Wait a minute. Russ is a big package.
Now
that's $44 million.
Man, Lucky Lefty podcast. You're bugging right now. You're bugging right now. Because DeMar DeRozan is the best player in the package. So why are we giving up more?
Because Russell Westbrook is a 75 NBA anniversary team player.
Man, stop playing with me.
That DeMar's not even sniffing that. He's not even sniffing that.
Stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing. Shout out to our girl D Beezy. If Steph got another one, LeBron is going to go crazy. I agree with that.
No, he wouldn't. Why?
He would. Because he's an egomaniac. You know he would. You know he would. You know he would. Because he's been chasing. He's pretty much been right there nip and tuck with Michael Jordan. And you know,
he's been
stop
here.
Stop.
Jordan,
I'm trying to give an honest assessment of what's going on, and there you go with your narrative. Stop.
On narratives.
It would for another player in his era to end up with more championships. Yeah.
LeBron's a year 20. LeBron's era was 2010 to 2020.
And but this is the thing. He has no one to blame but himself. You know why? Because the 2011 NBA Finals will always haunt him. Always.
Why?
Because there's no way they should have lost to that Mavericks team. No, there's no way they should have lost to that Dallas Mavericks team. Up 2-1. No.
The Mavs were a great team that year.
Not a great team. Lies.
Dirk Nowitzki was an MVP that year. Come on, like LeBron was just a baby. LeBron was just a baby.
Stevenson. Deshaun Stevenson.
How to win, man. LeBron was
Deshaun Stevenson. Once again, Deshaun Stevenson.
D Wade had to teach LeBron at that level. That's what LeBron took on.
Man, look. Free J Free said, I give you Patrick Williams for Anthony Davis, not DeRozan or Levine. Everybody else is on the table. You're crazy because Patrick Williams is nowhere near enough.
No, nowhere near enough. Because Kevin Durant's package is so big, he can't even be traded.
That's a fact.
Anthony Davis is not that big, but is big, like surfacing underneath that.
Yeah. Look, Jay Henry. What's up, boy? they had JJ Barea guarding LeBron. That is kind of disrespectful, bro.
Come on. You know, it was a whole bunch of switching and stuff going. It was just baby Bron. You know, he was just learning.
Our boy Luke Kirkwood. What's up, Luke? LeBron's just coming to terms with he won't ever run the league again, and there's too much talent out now, and he ain't winning another ring.
What?
This, let's be honest, bro. Let's be honest. This might be that transitional time, though. Because let's be honest. That cat Giannis has to be the best player in the league right now.
Well, you're saying, what is the argument? Are you saying LeBron's not going to win another ring, or are you saying LeBron is not the best player in the league?
No, he's coming to terms that he's no longer going to run the league.
LeBron definitely runs the league.
Huh?
LeBron definitely runs the league.
No, he doesn't. Not anymore.
What you mean run the league in terms? That's what I said. Run the league in terms of he's not the factor that's anywhere he goes is going to be a championship team, or the factor of him not doing what? Not being the most valuable. I'm just trying to figure out.
No. I think when you run the league, you are the piece that moves the needle each and every year. LeBron ain't moving the needle, dude. LeBron ain't moving the needle this summer. He's trying to move the needle with the Kyrie move, but it's not working. It's not working. Bron 5 years ago, that Kyrie deal is probably already done. Because he's in his prime. The league knows Bron is on his way out. They know. He's at the end.
Bron got 2 or 3, 4, 5 more years. That's
why Jeannie Buss is holding on to her picks, because she knows this dude is another year or two. This dude is leaving us. I'm not about to mortgage my future, and he's about to be gone.
LeBron can get you 2 more championships.
Not in this league. What league are you watching? You talking about the Drew League? He can get you 2 Drew League championships?
Check this out. LeBron James runs the league. The Russell Westbrook situation is going to get figured out, because the Los Angeles Lakers is a great brand in sports. They're not going to allow them with the best player and the biggest needle mover in the league to just not make the playoffs. So LeBron James is going to make the playoffs next year, which is going to lead to him getting rid of Russell.
He doesn't have that power. He doesn't have that power anymore.
How is
the league is just not capitulating to LeBron like they used to.
Why not?
You will see Giannis back in the finals before you see LeBron back in the finals.
So who's the face if
from a league standpoint?
Who is the face of the NBA if it's not LeBron? And it's not a foreign player.
What are you talking about?
Who is the face of the league if it's not LeBron?
Answer that question.
I don't know, because I believe
you know darn well the dude just had a movie out for Disney this summer. The dude is the best player in the league and has been the best player in the league the last 2 years.
You're gonna say
the NBA has been promoting this dude all summer, and you sitting up here asking who is the biggest face of the league right now? It's Giannis.
Giannis is not no face of the league.
Okay, all right.
Giannis is not the face of the. Giannis is the most grossing and the winningest player right now in the league, but Giannis is not the face. Steph Curry would be the face before Giannis.
Both of them would be before LeBron right now.
No. LeBron is the face.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Nobody cared about Steph winning that championship because LeBron wasn't in the playoffs this year.
That's not true. Man, stop. Stop caping for LeBron. That's not true.
The fact that you couldn't even bring Steph as the face and you bring in Giannis, and Steph just showed you how unimpactful Steph would be as the face, but he would still be more of a face than Giannis. And Giannis is an international player. You're telling me Giannis is the face of the NBA? No way. Not right now.
Giannis became the face of the NBA when he won the championship.
That's because so why is Steph not the first person you're saying as the face then?
You said what?
Why is Steph not the first person you're saying is the face of the NBA? And he just won.
Because he's not bigger than Giannis.
What bigger? Okay, are you?
What
saying
are you paying attention to? He is not bigger than Giannis right now.
Giannis is not the face of the NBA. When you think of the face of the NBA, that's like saying Luka's the face of the NBA. That Giannis may be the best player on the NBA court, but that doesn't make him the face of the NBA. LeBron James is still the face of the NBA.
The NBA made Giannis the face of the NBA as soon as he won the championship. As soon.
So what is Steph then? He just won it, and he's been way more.
Wait a minute. You weren't even thinking about Steph until they made.
I know I wasn't thinking about Steph.
The NBA was not promoting Steph. They were promoting Giannis all year.
And then Steph won a championship, right? So if we're going by winning the championship makes you the face, why is Steph not the face for you as the NBA leader?
Because he's not.
Because are you saying then this
because the best player in the NBA, dude, stop ignoring history. The best player in the NBA in their prime is the face of the league. That's the way it's been. LeBron is no longer in his prime. He's not. Giannis is in his prime and is the best player in the league. He is the face of the NBA.
Because if that's
the player that they push the most.
If that's the case, then Steph is the face of the league. If that's the case. If that's the case, culturally, what Steph has done for the game and his recent accomplishments, Steph would be the face of the league by your definition.
You do realize,
that
when Giannis was winning the championship, Steph choked and got kicked out of the playoffs in a play at home. Right? No, I'm just trying to show you where Steph lost the opportunity to become the face. He had the opportunity, allowed Ja Morant to come into the Chase Center and send his butt home last year. When he had the opportunity to carry a team to the playoffs, Ja Morant sent his tail home. And in the same time frame, Giannis won a championship. The same time frame.
Can we fast forward history to what just happened? What just occurred?
And what just happened? What just happened? And still, who is the most promoted, the most viewed, the biggest jersey sale? Who is the biggest? No. Let me pull up.
Remember the dance?
You're bugging.
We're not talking about who's the better player.
Wait a minute.
We're talking about the fate. Like when the people think of the NBA, they're not thinking Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're not thinking that. That's too many syllables.
First of all, it's too many syllables for you. It's really an easy name to say. Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's real easy. It's not hard.
Nobody is thinking that at the NBA.
It's not hard at all. It's not hard at all.
People would think Ja Morant before Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Say it again.
People would think Ja Morant before Giannis because Ja Morant is more of the face than what Giannis could ever be.
Dude,
that's like saying Joel Embiid. That's saying like Joel Embiid is the face of the NBA.
He's very close to being one of the faces.
The best player doesn't mean the face of the NBA.
Then why was LeBron the face of the NBA?
Michael Jordan was the face of the NBA and wasn't the best player until when? The 90s?
Dude,
right?
Wait a minute. You need to do some history, bro. You think it took into the 90s for Michael Jordan to become the best player in the league? You are out of your mind.
You still have Magic. You still have Magic, so Magic wasn't the face while Michael Jordan was in the league. Michael Jordan was in the league while Magic Johnson was in the league. Magic Johnson was still the face of the league.
Ask the Pistons and ask everybody in the East who the best player, not the best team. The best player in the NBA was.
We're not talking about the best player.
In '88.
About the face.
You brought it up. Face.
I didn't bring the best player.
Michael Jordan wasn't the best player in the league until the 90s. That's
Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan playing in the NBA while Magic Johnson was playing in the NBA.
And he became the best player in the league before he won a championship.
I'm not arguing about the better.
Okay, so what's your point?
I'm arguing about the face. Because you're the better player doesn't mean you're the face of the league.
He became the face of the league prior to
In the 90s. In the 90s. Yes,
no,
yes, in the 90s.
no.
When he was losing in the first round, losing to the Pistons, losing to Larry Bird, he was not the face of the league, even though Larry Bird
Bro,
during that time said he
go do your research. Go do your research when the Mars Blackman campaign with Nike started. See, you don't understand marketing, advertisement, and what the league is doing. They
Magic
didn't care
Johnson
about championships.
Magic Johnson
They knew
denied
who the biggest and best player and biggest brand in their league was, and they started marketing Michael Jordan back in the 80s. You stop
Nike
that.
went to Magic Johnson before Michael Jordan.
Stop that.
And Magic Johnson denied
Stop.
Nike. And then they went to Jordan because they knew that Nike knew that Magic was the face. It's true.
Let's talk Kenny Minchey, man, because you bugging right now. Lucky Lefty podcast, Kenny Minchey, along with Austin Novosad, one of the quarterbacks that's being considered by Notre Dame. He's a Pittsburgh commit, and you got a chance to see him up close and personal. I call him Baby Dante, because if you're looking at him from the back with the big afros, you really couldn't tell the difference between the two.
They're built the same, like physically built the same. Dante's just taller.
Yeah,
but from the hair, how they move, they're both really good kids. They're the same person.
It's literally it's scary how they move the same. It's crazy.
Yes. So Eddie, I mean, I got a chance. I actually talked to him more than I talked to Dante there. Super great kid, really humble man. And I just thought it was so funny because I was from the back, like you said, when I was going up there, they didn't have their numbers on at the time. So I'm thinking I'm about to talk to Dante because they were standing next to each other. And I ended up hitting him thinking it was Dante and ended up getting to know this kid. So he's really good, man. Really good guy.
Yeah, just talk about, his precision. Looks like a real good fit for West Coast type of quarterback that Tommy Rees likes. Nothing to get overexcited about with athleticism or arm strength, but really good.
He's one of those guys you could just plug and play in I wouldn't say Alabama situation type, contending for a championship just yet. But for where he's going at Pitt, if they decide to make him the guy early, I think he can have a really smooth transition, especially I think it would be comparable to what a Jaden Daniels career started as. True freshman, go in there, make some good plays, and then I think he has the ability from a maturity standpoint to really take the stages and growth. It reminds me a lot of like a Dak Prescott, except a little more polished. I wouldn't say he's a project, but I would say from a leadership standpoint and in the right situation from a team that it's kind of outside. Mississippi State was kind of outside that realm of possibility. He could definitely, put his name in there, later in his career.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
But, those guys like that, like I said, the whole 23 class is a bunch of really good guys, but the guys that are a bunch of really forgettable guys too, so that same guy could be at a high profile like a Notre Dame and never get heard from again. A lot of quarterbacks of this class nature, it can happen to,
You have to feel happy, right? Whether it's him or Alton Novosad, who, is basically down between Ohio State. He's a Baylor commit, and he opened up his, reopened his recruiting after receiving the Notre Dame offer. Makes a lot of sense, but you lose Dante and you fall back on these two dudes. It's not a bad duo to fall back on.
From what Notre Dame has proposed to CJ, I don't think you can miss with either one of these guys, just due to the fact that we're getting possibly one of them. but it seems like they've sold their future on the guy after. So getting the guy now looks good, but I don't think that they had their whole future sold on either one of these guys either. Like they do CJ.
See, this is my thing, man, with quarterbacking now. The game has become, and I kind of relate this to, I had the opportunity last night to, it was kind of an emotional night for me. I was watching the MLB draft, and one of my childhood friends that I won a state championship with and grew up playing Little League baseball with at Rosen Little League in the Wild Hunters in Chicago. And his father was a coach and really was a coach to a lot of the young men that specifically didn't have fathers up there. And my boy Luke Collier, he played with 3 teams in the National League, played with the Brewers, Pirates, and I forget the other team. He made it out, and that's who I grew up playing with. And his son got drafted in the first round last night by the Cincinnati Reds.
Congratulations.
And, it was cool because I think last night was the most African American players drafted in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft.
Hey, did we actually have a kid in our school at Lakewood out here, Anthony Brown?
Yes.
Is a pitcher. Did he get where I know he was supposed to be high first round.
I think he went late. You had Tyler Crawford, Carl Crawford's son, that's from out there in Cali. He went first round. You had the kid from IMG, Elijah Hicks, I think his name is. You had the other kid from Georgia, Teron. He went 4. Then you had Andrew Jones. You had Andrew Jones' son, Drew Jones, Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves. He went. Well, if he's not a Hall of Famer, he will be a Hall of Famer. He went first round, and it was kind of like just pointing out this resurgence of baseball in the Black community and the reinvestment, by Major League Basketball in those communities. And even though the majority of those guys are, heritage players, meaning they really
legacy players for sure.
Yeah, they really didn't grow up in the inner city, and they grew up in better situations.
They didn't go around environment baseball.
The trend is coming. And I think the resurgence and the removal of certain narratives, right? Because I grew up with the Black quarterback being strictly an option quarterback.
I mean, we living in times like that today. Look at Lamar. They can't seem to find the right amount of money to get a man because they just don't think the market is going to last that long with you.
Yeah.
And that's even with an MVP. So it's like,
and you go today and you see Dante and Kenny Minchey in the 23 class, and no one's really talking about their running ability.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like we are literally in the midst of the renaissance of the Black quarterback to where their legs are not being mentioned and they're really being looked at as passers. And we can look at CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. No one really talks about their legs.
I think a lot of that came from just how the game has developed, even from the 7-on-7s and just the importance of how, the air raid has become ever so more attractive, similar to how Steph Curry has made the 3 more attractive.
Yeah.
Guys are finding more time to be outside and throw the football than in the weight room, which was a transition I started to see when I was going through high school.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks were more like, less weights, more getting it in on the reps. So, and I think it's just more of a hobby. It turned into a addiction where go outside with your friends, you start throwing more and more, and then eventually, where the game has started to change, coaches started to care less about how brolic you looked. They was more impressed
Yeah.
with how accurate you can become, and that's with these more new age coaches with these quick offenses and these gimmick type of things that they do. So I think that, along with social media, has made a lot of these guys that were never get looked at, previous to you know 2011, when we was getting guys like Dane, Chris, and Hendricks, and all those big dudes. That's kind of not popular these days. So guys are finding their way and being more KD like when they're playing quarterback.
I'm glad you mentioned that because last night in the first round, there were two players that were like 5'10, 5'11, 170 pounds, 160 pounds, taken in the first round of the MLB draft. And I was listening to the commentators and they were talking about how, teams have gone away from the prototype of this is what a first round pick is like as a player to, yo, this kid can play. Like, regardless of the size, this kid can play. He's a Major League Baseball player. And I think the quarterback position, like every now and then you'll get a 6'5", 6'4", stout kid, and they'll be prototype. But now most of these quarterbacks, man, you look at Bryce, I think CJ's a little bit bigger than Bryce. You look at Dante, you look at Austin Novosad. It's like, you're getting 6'1", 6'2" kids. You look at Caleb. Caleb probably really is about 6 feet, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Probably 6'1".
But, the real question is, can you play the game? Like, we're not stuck on making sure we get a Dane Chris 6'4" stout kid. It's like, look, can you play the game? Can you play the position? That has become paramount at the
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't work. After a while, when winning becomes the number one concern and less about how you look.
Yeah.
You got to get away from the look because, Dane would have been thought as the perfect prototype to what people would think
Man, you thought
works.
he was
But
going to be a beast at Notre Dame.
he couldn't play a lick, and I think, I'm not going to say couldn't play a lick, but it wasn't what people had thought.
Yeah.
And I think that narrative doesn't win football games, and the great coaches adapt to the times, and Nick Saban even started early. He went with Blake Sims, and then he went with Jalen Hurts, and then Tua, and these are short guys. Mac Jones is short,
Yeah,
and then Bryce is short. So I think what the cool thing that football has done is kind of the one thing that football has done, and which happens to happen naturally, is that because it's so physical and it's such a demanding game physically, and all that comes into it from a skill perspective, as guys get bigger, stronger, faster, the game has to go a certain direction. You can't, always, like basketball, you can gear it a certain way. The rules can make the game faster, and guys can't stand in the paint, which makes it more exciting. Football, you can try to do a lot with the rules and try to shape it a certain way, but because the training and the things that go into it is supersize the product on the field, the skill development is always going to be crucial. And guys that play intramural sports like those frisbee and flag football guys, those are getting more popular because it takes skill to play games like that.
Yeah.
You watch the 7-on-7 flag football tournament, those are some of the most athletic dudes ever, because they're playing, it's positionless pretty much, and the football is flying around, but the guys are making crazy plays everywhere. And they're all like 100 pounds.
Like you said, we talked to Marshall Pritchett. Great interview with that young man, 25 wide receiver athlete out of Georgia and Notre Dame legacy, son of Wes Pritchett from the 1988 National Championship team. And talking to him and his early days of getting into lacrosse, and how when he transitioned over to football, the movements in lacrosse made it easier for him to get in and out of his breaks and get into his routes as a receiver. So, that's why you tell kids all the time, like, you might love one sport, but, if you can, play multiple sports to really develop multiple muscles in your body and give you an opportunity to be even more elite.
Yeah, exactly. Because, a lot of kids want to be professional at 8 years old and go to a trainer all day and night. And,
Yeah.
different sports makes you a better athlete because it changes the way of thinking on certain things. Certain movements that are in certain sports that you're not going to get naturally through training. Training is usually specific. It's like a hard skill.
Yeah.
It's regimented. You do A step, B step, C step. But with different sports, those movements naturally help where you can't really teach it. But those guys that you play with, you like, man, this dude can do everything. Probably because he played everything,
Right.
So I think it's more variety than it is specific. I think when you get older, that's when you get more specific and you do the really minute details. But when you're young, man, play a lot of different sports. I just think being too professional at a young age get you burnt out. You training like a pro at 8 years old, that's 20 something years before you really even get paid for it. So
Facts.
it's a long time.
Look, man, let me tell you something. If I had it to do all over again, I would not have jumped on the bus midway through my first football practice.
Okay.
For multiple reasons, because I think there's value in the game and there's a toughness and learning how to overcome adversity and deal with different mindsets and different people. That's the one thing about a football locker room is like different backgrounds, different personalities, and you have to, it's really like a microcosm of life. Like, okay, this is what you have to deal with in life. You have to make the best of this. Baseball is pretty much, baseball, you pretty much grow up playing with the same dudes.
That's right.
Seeing the same guys at the same tournaments growing up. And even when you get to the high school level, especially in Chicago, you know each other.
Right.
Like I knew the players at Simeon. I knew the players at Harlan. I knew the players at CBS. Like I knew everybody. So when we played each other, it was almost like fun competition. Like
That's
we
right.
want to win, but man, I've been playing these dudes my entire life. And
I know those guys.
yeah, football locker room, especially in college, you don't know these dudes. Well, it might be different now.
See, it is a little different now. You get a chance with these 7-on-7 and these camps and the guys being more active, traveling like AAU. They all know a little bit about people out there.
Yeah.
I just think the problem now is that, like, man, it's just so hard to replicate a football game. And they're trying everything with the 7 on and 9 on, the lineman camps and stuff. But the flow of a football game is such a authentic and natural, organic thing that is hard to even train for things. Like they say a lot, like speaking on television, like doing the analyst job on CBS for me.
Mm-hmm.
There is no training for it because it's live. You can work on your soliloquies and your analogies and the way you form your sentences to convey messages, but the training aspect of knowing the flow of how it's going to go is no way to do that. So that's why you got to commend guys that do that. And even on the Shaq and Charles Barkley and that whole thing with Kenny Smith, I think that's cool because that's a live thing. So a lot of that teleprompter is really plain, and they add a lot to it. So I just know it goes a long way when you can do a little bit about that.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So let's dig in a little bit. Notre Dame received this 20th commitment in the 2023 class from Westlake 5. I call him a 5-star. He's a 4-star composite. I call him a 5-star. And we're going to get into the reason why I call him a 5-star wide receiver from Westlake down in Texas, historic program down in Texas, Jaden Greathouse. And let me tell you something, man. For multiple reasons, this kid might be the most important recruit at wide receiver in the last 10 years to come to Notre Dame.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, look, not because he's going to run past you, not because he's just a dog, man. He's a dog. When you look at this dude's stats and the level, Westlake is top level. And he's doing it in the state of Texas against some of the best cornerbacks that are out there. Look, man, the dude is a dog. He's a dog. And I think we have cornered the market on the name Jaden.
Yes. We locked it up, trademarked it. It can't go nowhere without paying us.
That has to be a future T-shirt down the line for Notre Dame.
Yeah, like which one you choose? Because all of them
we still have Jaden Alsbury
out there
from down in Baton Rouge. We still have him on the hook.
That's right.
Coming soon. So, look, he's a dog, man. I can't. They're both from the state of Texas. They both came from historic programs. And Notre Dame is going to face a similar type mentality on September 3rd when they go up against Jackson in that slot. When they go up against Njigba, look, man, it's not about he can run just as fast, he's just as big. No. Their mentality that when they step on the field, like he's going to step on the field and be like, yo, I was open. Like, I don't know who that was for you in the huddle, but he's that dude. Like, he's going to step in the huddle and he's going to come back and he's going to be like, Tyler, what's up? I was open, dog. And this is after they just completed a 30-yard pass. He's going to come back to the huddle like, fam, I was open. Like,
is he a little bit of, are you saying he's a Antonio Brown kind of?
No. I'm not saying that.
Not a character, but I'm saying from a demand of the ball.
No, not even a demand of the ball. His mentality is going to raise the level of competition in that room. Like, he just believes he's the best player on the field. He feels like he's the best player on the field.
We need that, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm like, just speaking strictly football, I think Antonio Brown felt that way, and it turned out during those years they put up a lot of numbers in that way.
Yeah.
And I think it did raise the level of, competition on the team. Look at Juju. Juju hasn't been the same since Antonio Brown been there, in my opinion. But I think for the receiver room, I think he's the perfect fit for personality because I do think that we have a talented room. But even with the talent, I don't feel like it's dangerous. With a guy like Jaden Greathouse, I feel like it's dangerous. He's just adding what I felt like CJ Williams probably would have added to the room if he came. But I do think he's given that grittier sense of, all right, we might have to watch a little bit longer tape on that receiver room before we go out there on Saturday. And that's all I hope.
You know what's crazy? Guys at the wide receiver position are talented. I'll give you a perfect example. Will made it look easy just from a running standpoint.
Yeah.
Just from a running standpoint. It looked like Will was floating.
Will was,
It didn't even look like he was running. It just looked like he was floating.
Like, it felt like you just, no matter what, you just had him right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, y'all got some good D, okay, but we got Will. So it's just a matter of time before y'all fall asleep or y'all try to get too close on him. And me, I was taking shots. I'm like, okay, don't do that. Y'all was doing good, then y'all done press Will, and now I saw it, now I got to go after you.
Facts.
And that's the kind of feel that you want because I think that made us unbeatable because then we had the run game. Teams was always worried about us running football, but when you got a guy like Will out there, hopefully this kid is the same effect where he could just take the top off the game.
Bro,
throw a screen, don't matter.
His run after catch. First of all, his hands are amazing. That's the first thing. His hands are amazing. He's a winner. Multiple state championships. Feels like he's the best player on the field. And you have to remember, He felt like he was the best player on the field. His quarterback was Cade Klubnik. Like, think about that. His quarterback was Cade Klubnik. And he still was like, yo, I'm the dude out here. I'm the dog. Like, we just showed all these highlights. Man, how many times did you see him double teamed and it didn't matter? Like, so what? Just throw the ball.
He's got a body type, I think, a little bit bigger than his Styles, but they're both big dudes, though, for a slot.
Yeah.
They're not little. They're 200-pound guys in the slot. That's bigger than a Avery Davis, bigger than a CJ Sanders. You know, we put some weight in the slot. I think it's just a hard matchup because all these guys are fast. Styles may be the fastest on offense right now.
Man.
So you put two of those guys in the slot. I mean, like I said, Tyler Buckner has no excuses. It's almost getting ridiculous. Like, it's no excuse. You got to have at least 250 yards passing a game.
Yeah.
A game. Or you're not doing your job. So it's like playing good ain't even good enough for how talented this team has been recruited offensively. You know, shout out to Tommy if he played a big hand in getting a piece like that, because Michael Mayer is a dominant piece. A kid like this could be a dominant piece, and that's a hard offense to stop.
Yeah. Now, remember, we talked to Howard Griffith. You can go look at that interview in our archives. We talked to Steve Wilfong. We talked to Coach Carl Reed multiple times. And we talked to all of these guys early in 2022. Open period had just started, and Notre Dame had pretty much started racking up the defensive side of recruiting. Like, the defensive side was like, you know, Eli Bourne, Drake Bourne, like, dude, Keon Keeley, Brennan Vernon, like, the defensive recruits locked in, but that offensive side was looking real slim. And we thought we had our quarterback, right? But you have to tip your cap to what Tommy Rees and this offensive staff has been able to do. Because Jaden Greathouse was a kid that the previous staff, the previous staff wasn't even recruiting him. And you know how you feel good about a kid because you look at the staffs that are recruiting him. When I saw that the previous Oklahoma staff was recruiting him, I was like, okay. Because Oklahoma does a really good job of identifying and developing wide receivers. So that was the first clue. I was like, okay. You know, I'm looking at it. He might not be as fast as I would want that top dog to be, but it has to be something about it. And the more I locked in on him, the more I watched this film, the more I went and looked at his big games, bro. It was like, yo, the stats he was putting up, like, ridiculous, fam. In the state of Texas.
I think that, you know, I always have a thing with Texas players. These numbers.
Yeah.
These numbers and these Texas players are very misleading sometimes.
However, specifically for the quarterbacks, because they put up.
I mean, just like, you're gonna be the greatest thing smoking. Ain't no way. And they go in there and be average. So I like the fact, you know, that it's similar to how we talk about it's just important for those guys to find the best fit.
Yeah.
I think Novosad went to Baylor at first because he knows Baylor's a Texas type of system. And regardless of what people say, Texas football is, even at the youngest level, is pretty much geared all the way through offensively, the same way.
Yeah.
Run and shoot, similar to college style.
Yeah.
The competition and the talent's there, but the football acumen, you know, is pretty much the same. And so how that does outside of Texas is why Texas is just not the best football state, even though they have the talent and could be. That system keeps them a little bit from that, you know. But they get freaks though. Even the
Man,
running backs, think of all the freaky running backs they had that come through Texas high school football that just be real average in college sometimes.
is Bijan? I'm trying to think. Is Bijan from Texas?
He's from Arizona.
He's from Arizona. Okay, I was about to give credit. I was about to give him credit for one.
See, can't do that.
Yeah, I can't even do that. Is he originally from Arizona, or is he a transplant from somewhere else? Because a lot of kids that from Arizona now ended up there.
I think it's a Cali AZ thing, maybe. I don't know. But went to high school in AZ for sure.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson. Let's see. So let's go ahead and transition to how Notre Dame's 23 class might get an addition soon because of something that happened yesterday. And Georgia, who was seen as the leader for most of the recruitment for Justice Haynes because his father, 5-star running back out of the state of Georgia, his father played at Georgia. It was pretty much considered a lock, even though Alabama was coming after him. Other top schools in the SEC were coming after him, Florida, Michigan, Ohio State. And yesterday he shocked the world by committing to Alabama. Now, this is how it plays out. Jeremiah Love has been public about Notre Dame being in his top 2. But he has yet to say who the other team is. Right? Michigan's coming after him. We know that Alabama's coming after him. Missouri wants him. And most people truly believe that the second team is Alabama. Right? And they really don't think Michigan is real competition for Notre Dame. Right? Even if Michigan was the other squad, I would feel really comfortable at this point.
Michigan lost both their top quarterbacks, one to the school right across the street and one all the way across the country. So that's just 2 giant L's.
Yeah.
For the state of Michigan.
Yeah. So we jump to it, and this bodes well for Notre Dame because Alabama's still on and still full steam ahead on Richard Young.
Oh yeah, right? They're gonna run it. Yeah.
Like even though they just picked up Justice Haynes, Richard Young is like the one they want. Now it would be funny if Georgia ended up with Richard Young and Justice Haynes ended up at Alabama. But what this means is if Alabama indeed was the other team that Jeremiah Love was looking at, those are the 2 running backs. They got Justice Haynes. They want Richard Young. They might not be coming after Jeremiah Love as hard anymore, and it just might be all Notre Dame now. So,
well, I do think that being in the running, like you said, we wasn't even recruiting these guys a couple years ago. Just shows that for us to make it to the finals in the next 2 or 3 years, we're closing those deals because I can only assume we're going to increase our wins in games that matter. Mm-hmm. And you'll find out early starting this year, 9-3. And I do think that Marcus Freeman is bringing that that extra recruiting to the Notre Dame perspective that we didn't have before. And I think it's opened the door for 5 stars to at least peek behind the curtain and be like, this is something that I can see, just like all the 4 3 stars that commit also do.
It's amazing when you say that. And I see someone, Garland Doxey, said he anticipates that Haynes will flip on signing day. And I expect Georgia to stay on him. I fully expect Georgia to stay on him. But now, regardless of whether or not he flips, this impacts or could very much impact Jeremiah Love. And that within itself, that's the best of both worlds for Notre Dame. Because they never had a chance with Justice Haynes, even though they tried to get in on him early. But Justice Haynes making his decision could ultimately lead to Jeremiah Love ended up in South Bend sooner than expected.
Sooner than expected. Yeah.
So those are good things. Give me a couple of your underrated quarterbacks to watch. Like we pointed out, Brendan Armstrong was the guy last year that, coming into the season, like, oh man, and then by the third or fourth game, it was like, oh, it was the Illinois game. Like they played Illinois. Illinois went up to Virginia, I think, second week of the season. And I think after that game, I was like, oh snap, I think I'm gonna have to watch this kid.
Yeah.
Some more. I'm gonna have to watch him some more. And we have the Caleb Williams, we had the CJ Stroud, the Bryce Youngs, for you.
A lot of quarterbacks now are kind of cookie cutter. I would love to see my guy out of San Diego State. If you just talking about straight underrated, his name is Will. Really good, talented kid. He's tall, really strong. Had him in Arizona. He's going to do some good things. Will over there at San Diego State, shout out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Underrated guys, man. I think.
Let me give you one that is familiar, but I like the combination of him, where he transferred to, and who he's working with. I'm going to watch a couple of games of Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. Like Jackson Dart coming out of high school was looked at as being pretty much the next great thing. And he has some come out games when he finally took over the reins early. But I'm always interested in seeing, somehow, some way, Lane Kiffin finds a way to get his quarterbacks into the talk of being the top quarterbacks in college football. So I'm very interested in that relationship and what we get from it.
Yeah, I think what's important is that anybody that's got a great coach in college football right now, you got a chance. And so if the fit works out where you get a chance to start, I think you can make some headways. But, if you don't have a superstar coach like a Steve Sarkisian or a Lane Kiffin or, in that realm, which is few, there ain't that many, then it's really just a luck of the draw. I mean, college football is huge and teams waver here and there, so guys can pop out at any moment. I'm just staying open to the fact that hopefully it's more competitive and we see a lot more games that, are not predictable.
Number two for me is a very familiar name. And it might be cheating a little bit because I can honestly say I was pretty much watching every game once he transferred from Notre Dame. But yeah, I'm going to be watching Phil Jacoby. I'm just going to be watching him to see if he can get his name up there.
But they're pumping right now. He's top 10. He's top 10.
They don't have him as top 10 quite yet.
He'll be top 10 because the ACC is garbage. I think he's good enough to be the best ACC quarterback, which will put him in the top 10, and he's going to have attention that wouldn't be underrated, I think, early because he's an impressive kid. I mean, if you look at him, he's huge. He's a veteran, good school, good program he's with right now. So he's going to get attention as the season goes on, but they keeping him outside maybe for scout purposes.
Another quarterback. He's not the starter right now, but I think eventually he will be the starter.
I'm going to say J.J. McCarthy. Look, I do not think J.J. McCarthy.
He's from the land. I gotta throw somebody in there that's from the land of Lincoln. He's from the land, even though he was
going to say J.J. McCarthy, man.
He's from the land. I gotta rep, man. Gotta rep.
Well, I think it just depends. Michigan likes Cade, McNamara. Or not Cade, but they got a pretty solid quarterback room. A lot of unproven guys that were touted out of high school, like the Alex Orgy?
Yeah.
He's pretty stout. They got some kids in that room, but Michigan always fumbles their quarterback situation. Similar to us, but we've had more noticeable and rememberable quarterbacks than them.
Well, honestly, JJ probably should have started last year, but they knew they had a defense that was good enough to get them to where they were with the 2 pass rushers and with Dax Hill on the back end. They knew they had a chance to win the Big Ten, and that's exactly what they did. And they probably trusted Cade McNamara more.
Yeah, in a position like that, you're going with security. So
Yeah.
as much as you probably like JJ, you're like, we not Alabama and just gonna throw him into the championship game to win the whole thing. Like, we're not doing all that. Because we still got a program we trying to keep afloat. Even though it's crazy that Ann Arbor is one of the top 5 cities to live in America, and their recruiting sucks. So, interesting.
One of those guys that I ended up watching, similar to Brennan Armstrong, was Hendon Hooker, right? And the job that Josh Heupel did with him and developing him. And I'm going to continue to watch him this year, but I think he's now on the radar in college football based upon what he did last year. So he's no longer someone that's like coming from out of nowhere, like, oh,
like Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Now he's like SEC, Tennessee, team on the rise, program on the rise, good offensive coach. People know about him. I'll tell you somebody that played well in big-time games last year. He was a Notre Dame recruit early, and they actually chose to go in another direction. KJ Jefferson, man, quarterback at Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, man. I think I'm going to find myself watching some Arkansas games this year, bro.
I am too. They got some talent now.
Yo, you go watch the way he played at Alabama. I'm talking about not just against Alabama, at Alabama. It was almost like Bryce would score and he would respond.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bryce would put them up 10, 13, and he would respond.
He built kind of like Bryce.
Yeah. A little bit better runner.
Yeah, Bryce not running for no. He's running for exercise. He ain't running for yards.
He is what? 6'3". He's a big dude, though. 6'3", 245.
He's Langley, though. I think what's good, though, about Arkansas is that they got guys that you don't think about. They had a top first-round draft pick they called Deebo Samuel style last year.
Mm-hmm.
I caught on to towards the end, like during the draft, because, nobody's really watching that Arkansas.
Yeah.
But they made a lot of competitive games last year for sure.
And then the last quarterback that I'm going to be watching, strictly because of the name and everything that surrounded it from an NIL standpoint, I'll be watching some Texas Longhorn games. I will. Yeah, I'll keep it a buck. I'm going to watch some Texas. Well, first of all, I want to see Bijan play, number one.
Yeah.
But then, I want to see what Quinn Ewers is all about. I definitely want to see what he's all about.
They like him. You think Cade Klubenek? I'll put Cade Klubenek on there. He'll have an appearance sometime this year.
Whenever he shows up, whenever he snatches that start. Because actually, I'll be honest with you. I'm interested in seeing how DJ responds, or if he has a response.
DJ's best game of his career was at Notre Dame where they lost.
To this point, I agree. To this point, but look, we don't control. It's up to him to put in the work, to get better, to lead that team. And if he's done it and shows and proves, then hey.
But years like this is harder because they almost won another guy. Last year was the year to really do that. But, Dabo's a smart guy now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You saw how they did my guy, Kelly Bryant. So,
but I mean, at that point, it was time.
Wait a minute. They was winning the game. Come on, man. They was winning the game.
They weren't beating Alabama that year with Kelly Bryant at quarterback.
How? Just like you just
because he had just gotten banged by Alabama the last year in the playoffs.
That was one game.
Okay. Did he not
Came
fall
back.
behind? Did he not fall behind against Texas A&M? And Trevor came in and saved the day
Listen,
early in that season. I understand that's your boy, but we have to go with the facts. We
I'm
have
just
to
saying,
go with the facts.
he lost 2 games his whole career. Up
Was
until
he
that
good enough to win a championship, bro? Stop all that, man.
Wait a minute,
Stop.
man. Wait a minute. You asked me the question. Let
Stop.
me answer it.
Answer the question. Heck,
Man,
Ian Book is the all-time winningest quarterback in Notre Dame. Was he good enough to win a championship?
Ian never got replaced though.
They pretty much told his replacement to go, so they didn't have to make that decision.
They invited a replacement at Clemson and replaced a guy that was only lost 2 games. Obviously, they didn't have a great showing against Alabama. But the next year, they didn't even wait till to get to mid-year. He was beating Texas A&M, a good football team at that point.
Yeah.
In the middle of the game, they switched.
Mm-hmm.
That's how blatant it was. He was winning. Because I'm like, he went in there, threw a touchdown. All of a sudden, they throw Trevor in there. Trevor go in there and throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, it's over. It's over. And that's what makes the DJ situation so terrible, is because they're off of you.
Yeah.
You know, they mentally, they like, all right, we got years and we really like this kid.
Yeah.
You know, we doing you a service. We ain't doing you a lead us to the promised land, you know. So that's more expectation that is working against you.
Lucky Lefty podcast, man. Those are our 5 quarterbacks to look at and watch. My favorite quarterback to watch this year, I'll be honest, I'm going to have fun watching Bryce, bro. You know why? This is one of those years, one of those opportunities that Steph Curry miserably failed at, that Bryce is going to have a similar opportunity. No Mechie, no Jameson Williams, young wide receivers. Latu is really your biggest returning pass catcher.
Yeah.
Your big tackles are going to the NFL.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs comes in, but he's not a pounder at running back.
He's not.
He's not.
It's an interesting running back for Alabama squad, especially being your number 1.
He does get Burton to transfer in from Georgia. This is where, for me, this is why I take Bryce. If I'm an NFL GM, I take Bryce over CJ. Because I've never seen CJ in a tough situation yet.
Well, you're not going to see that at Ohio State.
The talent he's been surrounded by,
the
play caller he's played for, he always walks on the field with the best team. Like, literally, we saw Bryce and that offense struggle against Auburn on the road, come in double-digit underdogs in the SEC championship game, and basically dismantle.
Right after winning the Heisman.
Right. Dismantle the Georgia defense. Just took it apart. Like, Bryce walked on the field and was like, dude, I'm the difference. I don't care how good they are. I'm the difference.
And it's crazy. All the games he played, all the games CJ played, that game defined why, similar to what you said. I would take Bryce over CJ as well, just because he's been tested at damn near the highest level. Right. The only thing he could have did more was win that game against Georgia, and then he just would have been Superman.
Yeah. And like you said, I learned more about Bryce. Take those 2 games. The SEC championship game, the Auburn game. I learned more. As a GM, I learned more about who Bryce Young was in that Auburn game than any other game he played all year.
That's right.
Any other game he played all year. When you see a quarterback struggle, getting pounded, Auburn just hitting him every other down, and he's getting up, down 10, needing to make plays, late in the fourth quarter, that's when you know you have a dude.
That's right.
That's when you know you have a dude. When everything is wrong and going wrong, I think it goes back to, I don't know if you saw the viral video for Duke's women's basketball coach, former WNBA player, former Tennessee player, Kara Lawson, when she was talking about how, people wait for life to get easy.
Yeah.
And they think life is going to get easier. But it doesn't. Life isn't easy. And if you want to be successful, you have to become better at handling harder things. You just have to become better at handling the hard.
That's right.
And that's what we saw from Bryce Young. We don't know if CJ can do that. We just don't know.
So much better than everybody they playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so good. Except 9-3. I mean,
Yeah.
he might get tested then, but that's gonna be a battle. Mr. CJ, I saw him the other day. That's gonna be a battle now. But all the other games,
Yo, did you see this over the weekend? So reportedly, your boy Caleb Williams' father told reporters that the reason he left Oklahoma was because of the fans getting on his nerve. And it got posted on social media. Caleb retweeted it and was like, man, take this down. The reason I almost went back and stayed at Oklahoma is because of the fan base. You think that's a moment where his father pretty much was just like saying just a little bit too much, and Caleb had to walk it back like, yo, relax.
Well, whenever you get a close family member like that speaking out like that, it usually conversations probably came similar. Maybe not be the total reason, but at the end of the day, it's optics, and people are going to assume that's what you said. Did he say it or not? It don't even matter. The fact that somebody that close to you is mentioning that, they assume it's true anyway. So to come out and walk it back, make you sound a little guilty, but who cares, man? You at where you at, and you still a really good player.
I know they need to give Jordan Addison his money. What they want. I know
yeah, they need to back that Brinks truck. I know he's.
I know that before Mama Addison starts talking.
He like, did. Man, yeah, look, it's NIL. He may leave.
You think so?
Look, it's crazy things that can happen. Why not? He can leave right now.
Just leave and start preparing for the draft.
If somebody, so go to some other school. You telling me somebody wouldn't take him right now? You crazy? He got all the leverage.
I would take him right now. And Notre Dame.
You don't think, man, Marcus Freeman get on that phone so fast. Hey, look, the Duffels ain't shuffling over there, huh?
So the Duffels ain't shuffling over there, huh?
Really interesting. Might as well come over to get this 4 for 40, man. Stop playing, man.
We don't do duffels. We do brown paper bags in the trunk.
That's right.
You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing. Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
Petticoat Junction.
Petty Junction. Petty stories of the day. Each and every day. Brought to you by Onora Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. I don't know if this is petty, man, but, I did see this video went viral. What's the young man's name that ended up shooting up It's a gun incident up in Minnesota, and he ended up getting killed by authorities, and they held like a visual ceremony for him, and one of the victims showed up, and the video went viral because she was standing off against them and saying like, how are you coming to honor somebody that literally murdered people and almost killed me and my kids and riddled my apartment with bullet holes? And at the end of the day, I took a step back. And I'm like, yeah, that is petty. That's just bad optics. That's just bad optics. I thought it was one of the pettiest things. I'm like, man, yeah, that's petty.
On what side? Because it's like, it's like the same thing as intention. It don't matter.
Well, no, it's not petty. It's not petty on the. Well, I can see how both can view their loved ones as victims.
See what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? But
and that's why it's like,
but don't. It's one thing to feel like you're the victim, but then to make a public spectacle of it.
See, it never feels genuine.
Right. Like, why are you doing this? For what purpose? Like, are you just dismissing the fact that, the damage that was done? And you're trying to make it seem like he is this. And then, someone in the crowd, like, mentioned that he was, like, tried to make a connection to George Floyd. And it's like, relax.
Get out of hand. Get out of hand.
Relax.
Get out of hand.
Right. Relax.
Everybody's talking too crazy, man.
And that's when you lose me. That's when you lose me. Like, see, your heart's not right.
Because it becomes a big grifter party. Everybody's a huge grifter these days because of social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they do it in hopes that a camera come out and get a candid video of them make a moment.
Yeah.
That's the same thing how I feel like when people post that long memoir obituary of a past loved one on Facebook or Instagram or something. It's just like, damn, man, like, who are you posting that for?
I wonder sometimes will we ever get back to a society that lives an unfiltered life? And what I mean by that is, social media is really not, it's not the real, especially Instagram. Whether it's the thirst trapping, whether it's the fake gun or the money, trying to look like you're a ball. It's just people are so infatuated with showing the world something that they're really not. Like, when do we get to a point where people are comfortable just being themselves, bro? Again, just be you, man. Like, can a young lady just take a picture early in the morning without filtering and all this stuff and without the duck lips and can you just take a picture?
Well, you want to come correct in your best self. You know what I mean? You ain't taking no picture.
Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Now let's be real for a moment. You want to come correct, but that's the girl you meet out at the barbecue or the club, right?
Okay.
If you want to take that next step, eventually, you got to see her face when she roll over in the morning to take that next step.
Yeah, we get all that.
You got to meet that person eventually. Like, you can't always see her with makeup. You know what I'm saying? That's like you dance with somebody all night. They look fine in the mug. And then the club lights come on and it's like, oh.
There's a lot of factors that are involved in that situation.
You might have a little bit of alcohol in it.
Yeah, things may be going around you. You may not, be totally locked in on what you doing.
Oh, boy, you crazy. But no, man. Everything is so filtered now, man. You don't know what to believe, what's real. It's like
you don't know what's real, man. Well, I'm gonna walk that back. Y'all know what the truth is.
That's true. That's
you know
true.
you know what the hell right and wrong is.
No.
We not gonna give that up yet.
No.
I say a lot of people, I get it, but you know what the right or wrong thing to do is. You just don't let the sympathy and empathy take over right and wrong thing. You know what right and wrong is.
No.
And for those who don't,
I was not built to be a teenager or in my 20s at this time because I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of procedures. I'll just put it that way. Enhancement procedures. Like, I'm not a big fan of that. So I would really struggle right now.
Yeah, I couldn't hang with the kids. They not authentic enough for me, man.
Yeah, I would really struggle right now. And growing up in the 12s and the wild hundreds, I grew up seeing a lot of thickness. Especially in the thigh area. So for me to have to question what's real, I would struggle, bro. I would struggle mightily.
See, I feel like if you stick to what you know, like they always say, get the ones that like you. What you want.
Ryan Loftus, thank you for the super sticker. We appreciate you. And thank you for the super chat, man. I missed majority of the show today, but I'm running back later. Just want to say Pat White was cold, though. Yeah, Pat, he hit us up on Twitter this weekend asking us who was better in college, Mike Vick or Pat White. And I'm sorry, Ryan. That's not even close.
You can't even talk about that. Just out of disrespect, I would feel to Mike Vick.
Man, nothing personal. Says Shaun don't like those West Coast customs. No, bro. No. I'm a factory dude. I like factory stuff under the hood.
I like how it came out the factory, man.
Yeah, I like factory stuff. I like factory
second time around type of stuff.
I like factory stuff.
But that's the thing. I feel like if you really like the factory made, the quality of the material, you don't have to worry about the synthetics out. You don't got to go down to the mart and get it half off. When you look for the cheap value of things,
right? My man said you don't need custom headlights and bumpers. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if I would like to receive some credit for enhancements. I'll just leave it at that.
Really? Is that
No, not as far as paying for it. See, I'm going down a rabbit's hole, man. I'm going down a rabbit's hole. Stop, man. I'm threatening my GC status right now. Going down this rabbit hole.
No. It's defining the lines, though.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Somebody you date somebody long enough, they should
go ahead, get the upgrade, man.
They should. No. I'm not talking about get the upgrade. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying organically, if you date somebody long enough, they should naturally get thicker. I'll just leave it at that. Yes. I'll just leave it at that.
If you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Yeah. Let's go.
And now you can take credit.
Yeah, and you can get all the credit. See,
that's all I'm saying.
People like the fast food process now.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, instant gratification is not where that's at these days.
That's all. Oh, dude. Come on, man. Our boy Will out here trying to take the come on, man. You trying to take the Wilson route with the mothers? Dude, that man, look, there's never been a friend of my mom's that I was like, man.
Yeah, it's never been a friend of my mom's. Yeah, not, you know. But
Now,
you know how the people in
sister,
Utah get sometimes.
now friend or sister,
See, that's different.
that's different.
That's different. That's different.
That's totally different.
Because we're peers. We're peers.
Man,
We know each other.
yo, man, I had some of the best, not blood sisters. I had some of the best high school sisters ever.
Mm.
Ever.
Gotta wish.
Oh, I need to send them flowers today. Just thinking back, the connections they had.
Oh yeah, they got you far and wide.
Oh, and their friend circles. It was.
They should have worked for a phone company the way they was connected.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's and I'm about to date myself, but around that time, bro, we had just gotten caller ID and three-way calling, so you could have multiple people on the phone. Man,
that group call, man, something different.
So, man, we're gonna hope and look for Ronan Hannafin and Jeremiah Love to join the class, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And that's going to put Notre Dame in a really good position going into the fall. And then, as far as the show, we have a couple of former Notre Dame quarterbacks that we're trying to get on. Couple of quarterbacks, man. One happens to be, and then we can ask this question and talk about a little bit more. The most underrated quarterback at Notre Dame. He's now the offensive coordinator for the Edmonton Elks in the CFL. He has 2 Grey Cup titles. I don't even know if people really know that. He won a championship in the CFL twice, was MVP once, and now he's the offensive coordinator for the Edmonton Elks. That used to be the Edmonton Eskimos. I think he's the most underrated quarterback at Notre Dame. And hopefully his schedule will give us an opportunity to really bring him on the podcast. So we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow.
That was a great setup, Shaun.
Yes, sir. Lucky Lefty Podcast brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey at OnoraWhiskey.com. As always, have a great day. Make sure you spend it different. We'll see you tomorrow.